Check this out. This is your special Father's Day message.
So many memories.
From
all those games of one-on-one in the driveway where he'd let me win.
Of course, there's that big day when your dad berates your high school coach for not getting you enough touches. Waking up early to drive to all those faraway tournaments. Or that special moment when your dad sits you down and tells you where you're going to college. Copyright your name to make it a part of a family lifestyle brand. One on first take.
Okay.
And shout it back and forth.
I think we get the point. Whether Lonzo Ball just won you over. Let's go around the horn.
Fishing. We went fishing a lot. That's a great ad.
It's Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter. Here's Tony Reali.
Let's think about this for a second.
All those interviews from the stands during college games, the public spats with the all-time great soundbite after soundbite to the national media, and then tells 29 out of 30 teams.
But what if it's all orchestrated by Dad so Lonzo can get that he's his own man, self-deprecating points from you people to win over everybody after all the dad static of the last 18 years? See, you got to think like LeVar. You're playing checkers, he's playing chess against himself, where all the pieces are carved out to look like him. Lonzo getting another workout with the Lakers next week. After some conflicting reports, he was out of shape and too cool in his first workout. Lakers just worked out Josh Jackson again, so 2 times for him. Growing reports, he's impressing. De'Aaron Fox yesterday, Markelle Fultz tomorrow. Pablo, let's start with you. Let's start with Lonzo on the court. Is it possible his stock is dropping, or is this just the Lakers doing due diligence?
I think this is due diligence, and I say that in the context of a league that has a history littered with point guards who don't exactly excel in the 1-on-0 or even 3-on-3 workout scenario, right? It's a 5-on-5 sport. He is a 5-on-5 player. That is his particular skill set, but this is also Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka, I think, playing poker, which is what they should have been doing from the very beginning. Don't let the Boston Celtics do anything close to upcharging you if they're dangling, hey, you guys really want that Lonzo Ball guy, or don't let yourself lose the ability to do that to another team, whether it's the Suns or the Knicks or someone else. If they know that you are going to pick one guy, then you lose that ability to create false scenarios and set up smoke screens, which you would do at a poker table.
You believe Lonzo Ball is the number 2 pick in this draft?
I still think he is, yes. For all
Jackie,
that.
how about you?
I do, and my experience is we start out when the draft order is revealed, and immediately things fall into place. Markelle Fultz will be 1, Lonzo Ball will be 2, and then inevitably in the days and weeks leading up to that final day, everything changes. And then you know what happens on draft night? Everything goes back to the way we thought it was the minute that draft order happened. That feels a little bit to me like this is happening. There are, of course, notable exceptions. One of them was Paul Pierce, but that was because people were concerned about a back problem that he may or may not have. As far as we know, there's nothing wrong with Lonzo Ball physically. I do think it's interesting, though, the idea of him maybe being out of shape. That would give me pause because this is the biggest moment of your life. So perhaps that's why they want to bring him in one more time to check.
The Paul Pierce back problem. Now it all makes sense. That's why he needed the wheelchair to get off the court in the NBA Finals. All right. We got to the bottom of that.
It's a long con. Yeah.
Woody Page, where are you on Lonzo Ball? Is he slipping? Is he not slipping?
Well, if you're the Lakers, you're doing the wise thing, and that's considering all the options. You got to put your foot in the water for these other players. I happen to think that Josh Jackson is a better basketball player. He needs to mature as a person with some of the personal problems he had at Kansas. But I believe that they're still going to go after Ball, but it's very difficult when he goes and just shoots because we all know that his prowess is as a passer. I think if I'm bringing him in a second time, I'd bring 5 or 6 guys off the street at least, and let's see what he can do with that. But if you're the Lakers, you don't know if the Kansas City Chiefs are going to come or some other team, the Bears, and offer you so much of an offer for that second choice, and you have to draft later. You want to know about these other guys. And there's a possibility that the Celtics do something silly and make a trade for a veteran player like Jimmy Butler, and then you've got a chance at Fultz. So you got to look at everybody, Tony, and you got to consider your options. And you really have to wonder about Ball's shot, whether he can get it off in the NBA.
Sarah Spain.
Yeah, Pablo said he's a 5-on-5 player. He did just say he could beat 54-year-old Michael Jordan in one-on-one, so maybe we're underestimating his one-on-one skills. This was Lonzo this time, not just LeVar.
Okay.
But I think Pablo's right in terms of keeping all of your options open as far as how that affects how other teams view your decision-making. And then what Woody brought up as far as Jackson, he admitted he is in anger management. He's dealing with issues related to a college incident, and then Lonzo's dealing with issues relating to his father. I think it would be naive of us to not consider at least that the Lakers are trying to figure out if, all things considered, if they need to wonder about Lonzo Ball and the family, and if everything is even enough, whether they'd rather choose Jackson to avoid having to deal with Lonzo.
Well, since you brought it up, I mean, by extension, having to deal with LeVar. Well, Lonzo, in the commercial that we showed and introduced this show, I mean, I gave you my view of it, that it's LeVar master puppeteering here. What's your view of it, Sarah?
Oh, I absolutely agree. First of all, I think we finally get to see Lonzo speak for once, and they timed it perfectly because it makes him seem very endearing and able to make fun of the whole enterprise, but it's still probably entirely put together by LeVar, who realizes at some point he needs to offset everything he's doing with a little bit of humility.
Pablo, what did you think of Lonzo in the commercial?
In politics, there's this phrase we keep returning to called the pivot. This is the pivot for LeVar Ball. Lonzo is being revealed as someone who is self-aware and in on the joke, and thus LeVar, too, is in on the joke, and that's the best upside for them at this point in the draft process.
I'm expecting at any moment for LeVar Ball to sue Foot Locker because he did not get his consultant fee for this commercial. I'm awaiting that at any time.
Or if he doesn't, then that's proof that maybe he was consulted. Last word, what he paid.
I think some creative directors for Foot Locker came up with the idea. It portrayed Lonzo as his own guy, that he could rip on his father a little bit. LeVar, they said, are you okay with this? And he did. I don't think LeVar.
But it was Foot Locker who had the Tom Brady commercial that we talked about before the last season when there was the guys talking about Brady's suspension at the counter of a diner. All right, we've been horned. We're going to move on here. U.S. Open rough versus the field. This is what it looked like going into the week. Per Kevin Na's video complaint, and Lee Westwood's video complaint, and Andrew Johnson Beef's video complaint. I give it a bit of a haircut since then. Course designer, dear Kevin, don't hit it in the rough. Problem solved. Sincerely, Planet Earth. Jason Day. Usually when you hear people complain, it's one less guy you have to worry about at the start of the week. Rory McIlroy. It's a hazard. It's a U.S. Open. If we can't hit within the avenue, you might as well pack your bags and go home. Woody Page, you covered many U.S. Opens in your career. Whose side are you on here?
I'm on the side of Jason Day, and I'm on the side of those players who are putting down Kevin Na's of the world. Because is this your first time to play in the U.S. Open? It's like this every year. These fairways are wider than an airport runway. I mean, how difficult? Think about a football field. If you're a professional and you can't hit half a football field with a driver, so Roy was absolutely right. I mean, it's supposed to be tough conditions, and if you take the field against any of those players, the field is going to win, because I'm talking about the field, the golf course, because this is the one tournament where we can see them play like we do, and they're out in the rough and they're just chopping away, and the scores are going to be over par, and I think that's what it's going to take this weekend, unless the weather slows down those greens. So, hey, get used to it. It is the U.S. Open or the British Open where they test you. They are looking for the best player.
Sarah Spain, how do you see it?
Well, when I first saw the complaints, I was entertained by them, and I was on their side because I thought this is a recurring thing, at Bethpage and Wingfoot, and we've seen it before, so maybe they're finally trying to get through to people who tend to do this over and over. Then I saw Rory McIlroy's point, which is that they are 2 to 3 times wider than the normal fairways, and I realized that he's absolutely right. It's going to whittle down the competition to the people who can accurately do it, and it's a super, super long course, right? So you can't hit irons off the green to improve your accuracy, so it's going to end up the players that play the course the best. And isn't that what we all want to see?
So Rory and Jason, they swayed you here. How about you, Pablo?
Yeah, look, some golfers like the sport as a way to cleanly measure who is the best at golf. And the USGA pretty clearly sees this tournament as a way to surprise and challenge the best golfers. And if you're Rory McIlroy, look, Rory McIlroy seems like a guy who loves Mario Kart. I'm a guy who loves Mario Kart. I like the weird courses. I like the ability to fall off the side of the ledge.
Jackie doesn't even know what Mario Kart is.
Mario Kart is the best racing game because it is chaos surrounding you at every
So you like Rainbow Road. All right, all right.
Erin Hills is Rainbow Road. That is
exactly. I'm with you here. Jackie, please expound upon that.
I take issue with your assumption, Tony. I had to play Mario Kart with my young son, and I smashed into all those obstacles and walls and all the
there we go.
Come out of it and all the little hats he was wearing. So anyway, I don't understand what that's got to do with the U.S. Open exactly. But
that's a fair point. It's a very fair point, Jackie.
Well, I'm just calling you out a little bit. I do think this. It's okay for everybody, what everybody's saying, but the first time McIlroy does hit it into that rough, I'm going to be tuned in because I'm going to see how it turns out. Now, I agree with what he says, and I agree with everybody else says, but until you're the one in that rough, I don't know that we can fully understand the magnitude of it. So I'm waiting for that.
All right. Woody, real quick, you want to make a pick for this tournament? You love giving us your golf picks. You tell us you're always right. We never go back and check the tape. Here's your opportunity right now.
6 of the last U.S. Open winners were first-time players. So I'm going to take a first-time player. Rahm from Germany is going to win this.
Oh, that'll be the Mushroom Cup. All right, we'll move on. Puig's middle finger to fans in Cleveland. Let's talk about this. I reacted that way. I stooped to their level. It's something that came out. It's everywhere now. I know I did it. What can we do about it now? He said through a translator. Sarah, what can we do about it now? Is this something or nothing?
We could certainly punish him because there's cameras everywhere. You can't give the double Bud Adams to the fans, even if you try to do it surreptitiously like he did. I think he handled it well. I think he answered to it well. And it's been otherwise a pretty uneventful time for him since he was sent down the minors and brought back up. So I'd like to think he's adjusted more and that we don't overdo it on this.
Pablo, something or nothing?
I think it's nothing, but I'm also a person who, on a simulcast of Dan Le Batard's radio show and ESPNU, also flashed double birds at people completely accidentally, in my case. So what I would say to him is, number one...
What is an accidental bird? Can we get to that?
When you don't think you're on camera, that is what happens.
Well, that's not accidental. I mean, that's your purpose.
What I would say to Puig is just don't retweet the photos that get tweeted to you from now on, because that's what's going to happen to your life.
Jackie McMullen?
Pablo, can I give you some little bit of veteran advice?
Sure.
For 30 minutes out of your day, you are on camera. For the other 23 hours and whatever minutes that is, you are not on camera, okay? That's all you need to remember going forward, Pablo. So if you think you're giving a virtual finger, you probably are. I think this is absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I will say this about Puig. I love that he said, if he really did, because he used a translator, so I'm not sure he did. But if he did actually say, I stooped to their level, that might have been the best thing he's ever since he came here.
Good point. Finish us off, what do you think?
I'm going to give him a pass. And Jackie, we are on entertainment stage 24 hours a day. If you're ever in a bar, you know that people are watching you. But we had yesterday on the internet, there was a host of an afternoon sports debate show saying those 2 words.
Yes.
So if he can
those
get
2
away
words.
with it, I think that...
We're talking about fingers here, not words. I am of the opinion that what's the difference between a middle finger and the 4th finger and the 2nd finger? I mean, at this point, everybody's got fingers. I'm showing you mine. What's the big deal? I give my finger to the finger. We're going to take a break here. Buy or sell us next. Stick around.
You should do Mario Kart at the show. Mario Kart.
Around the Horn is brought to you by Verizon. Not just unlimited, Verizon Unlimited.
Buy or sell.
Anthony Rizzo, leadoff hitter. First at bat, of course, home run. Look where that goes. Cubs scored 14 runs in this game that Rizzo led off, which they hadn't scored in their last 5. Sarah Spain, this is your account. And buy or sell Rizzo as leadoff for this Cubs team for the rest of the season.
For the rest of the season, I'm not sure. But since we're giving away so many points for video games, I'm going to say this is like the ABAB up, down, right? This is Joe Madden trying to find that trick to switch things up because they are struggling. And at some point, they're going to run out of time. And listen, they get 15 hits and 5 home runs out of it. So, of course, he's going to be back in the lead-up spot today. If it doesn't work for a long stretch, then he'll switch it up again. That's the magic of Joe Madden, is finding a way to disrupt until they find a groove.
And, Sarah, since you know me and you've been watching this show for as longer than you've been on it, up, down is what's going to get you the points here for a cheat code. Pablo Torre, how about you?
I will acknowledge the magic of Joe Madden, but I'll also acknowledge that this is the genre of magic that was like Jason Giambi wearing a gold thong to break a slump. The Cubs, the previous game, lost 6-1. Double play, I think, in 4 straight innings. And so this is one of those things you do to shake it up, but it's not an actual strategy.
Jackie Mack, can you see a 6'4", 240-pound leadoff hitter who plays first base for the Cubs this year?
Oh, I mean, I've seen everything in baseball. I do think it's a little unusual. I don't know if they stay with it. And I don't know that we can call this the magic of Joe Madden because he would have gotten to it a lot sooner than now. This team has been slumping at the plate, and they've had troubles in their lineup. So let's see. I think it's a short-term solution,
Woody,
not a long-term.
How about you?
No, I would do it the rest of the year. What's the leading team in the National League? Colorado Rockies. They get no respect.
Here we go. Yeah.
Charlie Blackmon, who is an all-star outfielder, is leading the league as a leadoff hitter in RBIs. He's hitting .335. Put somebody at the top of your lineup that can produce runs, not somebody that bunts and moves guys over.
All right. Sure, man.
It's evolved.
Since you brought him up, by yourself, Woody Page, the Rockies winning the division. Just yell out an answer right now. I want to get you on record.
Absolutely.
Bye.
That wasn't too surprising. Not too surprising. We'll move on. By yourself, too. Andrew Luck. To be honest, I have not thought about it. Anytime anybody says that, general rule is they have thought about it. If I'm ready for it, then great. If I'm not, then that's the way it is. With this rehab, with my shoulder, I can't look 5 months down the road, 3 months down the road, a week down the road. To me, it's all about the next rehab session. It'll be all right. Woody, Luck potentially not going to be ready for training camp. Buy or sell it being all right.
I am not concerned at all about Andrew Luck. He'll be ready to go. He could show up in practice 2 days before the season. My concern, if I'm a Colts fan, is that he doesn't get injured again. If you don't have an offensive line and help on the outside, that's the reason why he keeps getting injured as a player.
Sarah Spain.
I mean, I think we're all selling that he hasn't thought about it. That's ridiculous. But I'm definitely buying his approach, which is one day at a time with the rehab and tackle what comes next. And that's what we have to do as viewers and as fans as well. At this point, we shouldn't be worrying about something that far in advance. Wait till we get there and see if he's ready.
Yeah, okay. Sarah's not worried about Showdown at all because we have to wait till we get there. Pablo, how about you?
Ooh. I am worried because in 2015, the guy was getting a painkiller shot before every game and was less accurate than Johnny Manziel. In 2016, as his body began to recuperate, he was more accurate than any quarterback beyond 5 yards. So if healthy Andrew Luck is actually a real thing, he can overcome the offensive line to a degree, but you just need him to actually wait and recuperate, and that's the biggest thing. It's actually real.
Right. So, but all those numbers you were talking about, Pablo, was when he had that shoulder problem. So we're going to assume now that that shoulder problem has been fixed. So I agree. Wait and see. Give him all the time you need. However, I wouldn't want my quarterback to just show up a few days or a few weeks before the season just for the simple fact you're going to throw the ball a ton and you're going to have normal soreness that you would have taken care of in July and August.
Sarah, are you worried about Showdown yet or not? Not yet. Buy or sell 3. Good. Odell Beckham. Let's take this one buy or sell at a time. Minicamp cleats. Shh. To people of your ilk. New York Post, TMZ, and I see ESPN on there. Pablo, is this shushing engineered to quiet the situation or amplify it?
I hope it is engineered to amplify it because you do not starve the media. You do not shush the media by feeding them. I mean, the guy's the 64th highest paid receiver in the league. You guys valid points. You don't need to shush him either, but man, this is the wrong road to go down if you're trying to shut people up.
Jackie?
I actually love this. I think this is a little bit in the Lonzo Ball category. He's making a little bit of fun of himself, a little bit of fun of TMZ and ESPN and everybody else. And you're right, Pablo. He deserves to be paid, and it's got nothing to do with the shoes anyway.
Woody Page.
For sure he needs more money, but I'm selling it for the purpose of him saying, oh, the media create all these stories. That's not true. He's the one who didn't show up for LTAs. He's the one that wants more money. He's the one wearing the shoes. He's bringing it all upon himself. What do you expect us to do? We're not creating these stories.
Sarah Spain.
Much like the story of me not making the Showdown for the 18th show in a row, the media is making up some stories. And one of them is that he's not showing up to voluntary workouts. So if he doesn't show up, it shouldn't be a story. He's just taking back the power here, and I love it. I love the shoes, I love the message, and I love the fact that he's playing with us. He deserves more money. Give it to him.
Sarah Spain. So let's go with that. 18 in a row. I'll fly with that. Taking their mutes one at a time. Pablo Torre. What finger was that, Sarah? Paige McMullen. Showdown next.
And now, insurance-minded speeches from Geico.
Hardship. My grandmother would go through it every month to pay her insurance bill. First, she would handwrite a paper check in cursive. Then, using her own tongue, she would wet a stamp for an envelope. Today, however, we need not weary our hands and tongues. Today, we can pay our Geico bill with the Geico app. Away with hardship, in with bill pay on the Geico app. Thank you.
Paige McMullen in Showdown. When a player and an umpire want the same line of sight, who wins out? Daniel Murphy asked second base up Alan Porter to move. Porter did not want to. And as you're seeing here, and as Murphy said after the game, they worked through it. Woody, whose side are you on here?
Well, Major League Baseball doesn't specify where the second base umpire stands, so it depends on the situation, runners on base or who's at the plate, left-hander, right-hander. And always, when the second baseman, shortstop asks the umpire to move, they move. So Porter was in the wrong there. Just move over 2 feet. Let me see the ball.
Okay, so Porter has the right, Woody, to stay right where he is because he's the umpire and we can ostensibly say he needs to have the best vantage point. But it's interesting, isn't it, how the back and forth on this. After the game, people asked Murphy about it and he said, oh, no, everything was fine. He could have said, you know what? This umpire was being a real jackass, so kudos to Murphy for not doing that.
All right, there we go. You guys can do a 30
true.
for 30 on this, I think. Split the point, we'll move on. Check this out. Cubs selling Wrigley Field Ivy from last year's World Series clincher. $200 a leaf. On the scale of unfrozen Stanley Cup ice from the Blackhawks to dirt from Fenway Park, where's a $200 leaf, Jackie?
You know, it's right about when people pay for those stars up in our stratosphere. I will confess to this. Went to Larry Bird's house in West Baden, French Lick, Indiana. Walton had taken some dirt from his court when he was there. I thought, I'm going to do that too. Put it
Jackie,
in a jar.
That's all very nice, and I think if you're a fan and you want to buy that stuff, that's great. I went to Loch Ness to see the monster once, and I bought some water from the Loch Ness, and it sits on my desk at home.
But see, you paid for it. I didn't. Mine was
stole
free.
it, Jackie. You absolutely stole it. And there's an APB out for Jackie stealing dirt from Larry Bird's house. Take the FaceTime, Woody.
The Grand Rapids Griffins, I am going to salute them today. They won the Calder Cup last night against the Syracuse Crunch, and that's for the American Hockey League Championship. How'd they celebrate? The Warriors had $700,000 worth of champagne. The Griffins celebrated with a beer shower, but more important than that, they had $400 worth of McDonald's hamburgers and fries. Congratulations to the Griffins for the Calder Cup Championship.
Congratulations.
They having money
Woody.
left over for the Thomas.
Win number 542.5. That's going to do it, folks, on a 23.5-hour break.